I'll call the January 16th meeting of council to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll now pause for a moment of silence. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Baker.
Here.
Bullock.
Here.
Keppel.
Here.
Marks. Here. Rader.
Yep.
Schachner. Here. Streebig.
Here.
Reading and disposal of the minutes of the regular meeting of council held January 2nd, 2024.
Move to approve without the necessity of a reading.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Item 1, Resolution 2023-72, a resolution honoring the St. Edward High School football team for a 2023 season marked by outstanding athleticism, teamwork, and sportsmanship, culminating in a triumphant victory in the 2023 OHSAA Division I state champs.
Move to defer.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Our former colleague, former President Litton, is currently working with St. Ed's to schedule a date for them to come, so we will keep everybody posted on that. Any further discussion? Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that motion passes.
Item 2, report from Committee of the Whole held January 8th, 2024.
Dear colleagues, Committee of the Whole met January 8th, 2024 to interview candidates for the Charter Review Commission. 5 candidates were interviewed for 5 council appointments. They were Dean Jackson, Angelina Steiner, Donna Taylor-Colas, Sean Coran, and Martha Werner. The committee was extremely impressed by the qualifications and thoughtfulness of each candidate. Following the interviews and a brief executive session, the committee unanimously moved to amend Resolution 2023-60 to insert the names of these 5 candidates and subsequently recommended adoption of that amended version. Upon a majority vote of council on Resolution 2023-60, these appointments will be made official and the important work of the commission can get underway. On behalf of council, I would like to thank these candidates for their willingness to serve. And I'll just add that the committee truly was very impressed with the quality of these candidates. We had a lot of excellent folks apply, and we're very excited to see what these candidates do. I'll move to receive and file this committee report.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And that motion passes.
Item 3, substitute Resolution 2023-60, a resolution to take effect immediately, appointing 5 members to the Charter Review Commission for a 6-month term beginning January 1st, 2024.
I'll move to adopt.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, so this is the amended version with the 5 names in it. Any discussion?
Just briefly.
Yes. Vice President Shatner.
Thank you. Just want to thank all the members of the community that are volunteering to be part of this commission. I also want to encourage everybody to pay attention to the schedule, and if you can, watch the meetings. They are all open to the public, and we could use as much input as possible. Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
And that motion passes.
Item 4, report from Housing Planning and Development Committee held January 16th, 2024.
Chair Bullock.
Thank you, Madam President. The Housing Planning and Development Committee met tonight. There was one item on the agenda, and all members of the committee were present. And that was proposed ordinance 39-2023, a ordinance proposing to amend subsection 116103Z and AA of the Lakewood Codified Ordinances to include body piercing as a conditional use in commercial zones. The committee discussed it and found, number one, consensus about the purpose and the spirit of the proposal, but number 2, there were some drafting specifics to work through. And what the committee concluded our meeting with was a recommendation to the full council to adopt the ordinance with anticipation of an amendment on the floor to perfect the language to better accomplish the intended purposes, especially at the end of section Z, subsection Z, number 10. And I anticipate, Madam President, some additional discussion on the next agenda item to that effect. Move to receive and file that oral report.
Second? Motion's been made and second. Any discussion, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And that motion passes.
Item 5, ordinance 39, 2023, an ordinance amending subsection 116103Z and 116103AA of the codified ordinances to include body piercing as a conditional use in commercial zones.
Madam President?
Yes.
We have before us in physical copy, and also the clerk, I know, has an electronic copy of a proposed amended version of proposed ordinance 39-2023. It's different than what appears in the docket, so what I'd like to suggest, with your permission, is that we talk through the potential amendment, which includes a series of potential changes, most of which should be, I think, ministerial in nature or clarifying in nature, but one of which merits some discussion, which is the aforementioned Z subsection 10. Would that be agreeable to discuss, you know, this version that we have in front of us?
Yes, I think, should we maybe go ahead and, well, let's maybe go through this version and then we can decide if we want to move to substitute. Does that make sense? Or
Yes, certainly, Madam
Okay.
Madam
Yeah.
President, yeah.
Right. Director Leininger or Director Vargo, did you want to walk us through these changes?
Good evening, Madam President, members of City Council. So as a result in the time between our committee meeting and the start of the general meeting, Director Vargo and I had a chance to caucus and go through and address some of the issues that were identified at the committee meeting. First of all, you'll note on the first couple of pages, we did identify some nits that we thought were worth addressing. If we're going to open up the ordinance and substitute, let's go ahead and address some of these things, many of which are ministerial in nature. The root, or the root of the edit then that we talked about in committee is on the last page, page 4, section Z. So the proposed change here is consistent with what we talked about in committee, really to eliminate subsection 10 at the bottom of that section. That was the cause of what was causing some confusion as far as, or different interpretations resulting in confusion. Instead, we clarified in here at the beginning of the section that body art establishments are allowed in these districts. They are conditional, and they are defined by the Ohio Administrative Code and are conditionally permitted, provided you meet the requirements of the section. And then the phrase that was then generally added was that for the purpose of the section, body art shall not include body piercing. Make sure it's clear that body piercing is held separate. We then have some bracketed language here. The language, the reason it's bracketed is there was some conversation amongst the committee members that a reference pointing people that are looking for body piercing to go to section 116103AA, which is also part of this ordinance. We didn't believe that that was necessary from our standpoint, but certainly if council desires it to be in there, it could help a user find the section they're looking for. But we put it as a bracket, as a take it or leave it. If you want to keep that in there, just remove the brackets and incorporate it into the section. And so I don't know if I've missed anything, Director.
No, nothing to add. Thank you, Council.
So, Madam President,
Yes, Councilman Bullock.
a little further explanation for those who may not have had the chance to hear the committee discussion. On screen in purple, the current language of the proposed ordinance is in Z10, body art establishment shall not include body piercing. That was the discussion, that it was confusing. I think the intent was that there are two different licenses regulated by the two sections in this proposed ordinance, and that the one license doesn't cover the other. But committee members said if you read that from a certain interpretation, you would think that the one business that has the one license couldn't also have the other license. That was never the intent. So what we're contemplating in this discussion is how to disentangle and clarify that purpose. So in my view, the new proposed language in the version we have in front of us would do that well. I tend to towards including the bracketed language, but I would defer to some of the other council members on the committee and/or those who have JDs and have been admitted to the bar and work routinely with legislative drafting for their views.
Thank you, Councilman Bullock. I was listening in on that discussion, and I believe there was some conversation about both of these sections tying back to the Ohio Administrative Code. It's listed here in the Section 1. So I guess my only question, and this may be, as you mentioned, whether Director Vargo or one of the esteemed members of council who has that background in law, are you feel satisfied that this addresses that concern and still fits within that Ohio Administrative Code aspect?
Yes, I think the important thing about this, Madam President, is that it allows a person who wants to do body piercing, they clearly know that they don't have to follow the same requirements from a zoning perspective and, as body art establishments. So there are many ways to achieve that. I think this is one possible way to achieve it. So I think for clarity and for people doing business in our community, this will provide them the information they need to go forward and the clarity they need to operate their business and know what to do.
All right. Well, with that, I'll move to substitute ordinance 39, 2023 as we have here on paper at the dais. Do I have a second?
Would you like to remove the brackets?
I don't have strong feelings about the brackets. Members of
We should
HPD?
Delete that section or delete brackets.
Yeah. I would recommend just substitute minus the brackets.
Okay.
Clear enough, I think.
Can we do both in one motion? Let's just move to substitute and then we'll move to amend. All right, so I'll move to substitute.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Do we need to call the roll on that? Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? That motion passes. All right, and then we'll move to amend, removing the brackets, or removing the brackets. We'll move to amend, removing the brackets.
Round body.
Around body piercing is regulated by section 1161-03 AA.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on that?
Madam President?
Yes.
Does that mean we're just removing the actual brackets or the words within the brackets?
Just the actual brackets.
Okay.
So, motion's been, is that where we are now? Motion's been made and seconded to remove the actual brackets. Good grief. This is gonna, all right. Any further discussion? All right. We're amending, no, we're good? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that motion passes. Okay, we will now move to adopt the substitute as amended.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
Item 6, communication from President Keppel regarding 2024-2025 committee assignments.
Dear colleagues, the following committee assignments are reflected immediately, which is, this was already sent out to everyone on council, but just for the purposes of public record keeping, we're sharing this out now, not too big of significant changes, but welcome Councilwoman Strebig to your new committee assignments and everyone else to your adjusted. I'll move to receive and file that communication.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 7, communication from President Keppel regarding recodification of ordinances.
This is just our standard codification ordinance. It happens periodically to update our ordinances. Thanks to the council staff and Council Clerk Bach for keeping us on track here. I'll move to receive and file this communication.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that motion passes.
Item 8, Ordinance 1, 2024, an ordinance to take effect immediately to approve the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as parts of the various component codes of the codified ordinances and to provide for the publication of such new matter.
Move to defer. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that motion passes. All right. And I think in record time, we are at public comment. Do we have, even with our bracket discussion, so we have someone signed in for public comment, I believe. All right. So public comment. When you approach, you just direct your comments to the chair. You have 5 minutes. And Chelsea Crewy. All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Crewy, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you. First, thank you for your time. I was here about a year ago because I had issues with a couple other tenants that live in some rental properties owned by a company that's known as either Brick and Mortar or Peril Realty. I'm here again about a year later because we're having issues once more with the rental company. The issue that I'm bringing to your attention is kind of twofold. So last year, the issues resulted from safety issues where we had maintenance work being done and they did not close windows, they didn't close doors, the pipes froze and burst and resulted in thousands of dollars of damage. I know that I myself had at least $2,000 in property damage that was occurred. It did get resolved through rental insurance. However, about a year later, so now, we have had an issue where our rental company just does not seem to want to do anything for any maintenance issues that we report. On October 15th, I put a maintenance ticket in because 3 of my radiators did not work. It took until November 2nd for it to be marked as complete. 3 of those heaters still did not work at that time. I put a second ticket in November on the 22nd, and it took until December 19th for it to be marked as complete. Only 1 of those radiators was fixed. Fast forward now to January 10th, and we received an email from our company that I actually brought with me that was vaguely threatening because in the email that they had sent to us, they had told us that if we were found negligent and if we left our windows and doors open and left our units for extended periods of time, we were going to be fined $150. And they told us to put maintenance ticket in so that we could get anything fixed that needed to be fixed, such as radiators, prior to Sunday's freeze. I put another ticket in on January 10th. It is now the 16th, and it has not been fixed. I'm not the only one who's experiencing these issues. I know of at least one other tenant who currently has power in half of their unit. They were instructed by the rental company to contact the city and get the electric company to fix it. The electric company instructed them that it's actually something the rental company needs to fix. So this has just become a whole problem where we've kind of been threatened, pushed aside, told that it's our fault if things don't get fixed. I currently still don't have heat in half of my apartment, and I know this is not a problem that just I face. So I just want to bring that to your attention so that hopefully we can do something about this.
Yeah. Thank you, and I'm sorry that you're experiencing that, especially given the record cold right now. It's very, so could you state did you state your address?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay, I didn't prompt you.
I live at 12511 Clifton Boulevard.
Thank you.
Um, 12511 Clifton Boulevard.
And I'm taking that to mean that Director Gordon is following up with, as we speak, yeah. Did you want to say something, Director Lang? No, you're just looking like you do.
No, we could refer this to the building commissioner.
Yeah.
They can look into it further as they have in the past.
Great, thank you.
Council President, I would just say too, you could make contact with the Lakewood Municipal Court, and I don't know if we talked to you about that last time, about your options in terms of putting rent in escrow during a period of time until the
Absolutely.
things are fixed. Okay.
I appreciate that.
Thank you for coming and
Yes.
speaking up, and
Thank you so
we'll follow up
much.
with you. Thank you. Any other public comment? Anyone else signed in? Announcements from council members? Announcements from the mayor, the administration? Yes, Director Leininger.
Good evening once again. Just wanted to remind everybody, you've seen this on social media, but next Tuesday, we'll be having a public meeting to talk about the Lakewood Skate Park and Phase 2 of that project. This is building off of some public work sessions we had in the summertime. If you recall, this is a design build project, so we're still in the design phase, we're planning to get to construction here in the next couple months. So this will be you'll be sharing their final concepts for the Phase 2 project and getting final public feedback before we turn those into construction drawings and start construction. And that is in this room, and I've gotten the time wrong before, so I'll make sure I get it right, 6 p.m. Here in this room next Tuesday, the 23rd.
Great, thank you. Any other announcements from the administration? All right, hearing none, so we don't have any further business, so I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye, and we are adjourned.